assists in a postseason game in game 4, 104 points to be exact for them. And LA, when you think about that formidable trio, your old teammates there in Brooklyn, how do you slow them down?
Can you slow them down?
I don't know.
That's the question. Talented guys, man. It's tough. I think when they all three have it going, it's tough. And they have three guys that can make tough shots all night. They got three guys that's not scared of the moment. We got KD. He's a cheat code. So I don't know. I think you just got to try to make their shots tough and just cross your fingers.
Boston offensively is overmatched, obviously, in this series against Brooklyn. I'm going to go back to you because you were there. You hear the word defense or some form of it a lot in the post-game comments from the Nets. They're not a great defensive team. I think we can agree on that for the most part. In how many games and how many situations will they have to be better if they're going to reach the NBA Finals?
First of all, I'm biased, so I would say they're amazing at defense. I was just there, so you were saying I was bad too.
Amazing at defense.
Yeah, of course they are. But no, definitely have to.
I think that's the first time I've heard that assessment.
I'm going to come in here biased.
That's fine.
You're supposed to. We want you to.
So when I was there, y'all were calling me terrible too then, huh?
You weren't there long enough to really assess.
There's no I in team.
Okay. But no, I think that they definitely have to tighten up the weak side. I think they do a lot of switching, so I think that has to be cleaner. But other than that, it's just about competing out there, and those guys will.
What do you make of what you've seen so far from Brooklyn?
Amazing offensively.
Yes. I'll agree with that word, yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
And so one thing as I look at it is I think, sometimes you see a lot of isolation one-on-one play. It's not getting them in trouble. And the reason why I say that, because you have these three guys that you can't come off and double. And obviously those guys have been used to playing against just three guys. And he gets a chance to get a layup out of this situation. So they've used to, as guys been the first option on their teams. I love right here, amazing defensive possession right there. You're right, LaMarcus. And obviously being able to see Kyrie get a chance to play at a high level. And I think we go back to it. The one thing is, LaMarcus says best. They like to switch a lot.
Yep.
And obviously they're going to have to adjust. But they've been in the league a long time. This guy right here, his commitment to be able to play point guard and lose the ego and be able to go out there and lead the league in assists and score is amazing, because he's one of those guys that can get downhill. He can make you foul you. Right now he knows he has him. Whenever I want to go around him, I'm going to go around him, but I'm going to play with you a little bit, and he's going to take that bump. And what I'd love is, in all playoff teams, you always try to find a guy that you can foul at the end of the game. These guys all shooting 85 plus.
Yeah.
And he said cheat code, and the reason why he's a cheat code, Marcus is right. I just have to ask the question, is he taller than you?
About the same height, man.
That's why he's a cheat code. It is unreal to me to watch him at that size, being able, because this is good defense. Good contest, but too small, too little. And what can you do if all those three guys get done?
And by the way, that shot, it's bringing back the mid-range, because he's 21 of 35 from mid-range. That's number one in the postseason so far in terms of makes, and he's shooting 60% from there. Nobody's complaining about that shot when Kevin Durant is taking it. I'm curious about what you experienced when you got there, having been around the NBA for a decade and a half. What struck you about the locker room and the environment in Brooklyn?
Just about business, fun, but about business. It wasn't, guys, like everyone was close, everyone hung out, everyone talked to each other. But it was just business. Like, everyone had fun, and then, you go home, and I just felt like everyone, cared for you. Everyone cared for the other player. Everyone cheered for the other player. I thought that was great.
Marcus, and everybody talks about it, it's big news, how these three guys are going to play. They haven't played a lot of minutes together. I want to take it to Steve Nash, a first-year coach.
Yeah.
He hadn't got a chance to have all those guys together. Tell me the job he was doing in the time you had spent there, and how was he adjusting not having those three guys?
It was tough on him, I feel like, because, he's balancing a lot, and then I came in, and then there was even more to balance, But he's been great. I think, he has a great open relationship, with those guys. They talk back and forth. I feel like they all feel confident going to him or Sean. I feel like that's why it's all working out, because it's no backroom talking or, or behind your back. It's, everyone's up front. I feel like that's making it work.
Of course, the Nets and Kyrie Irving in particular are very happy to be back in Brooklyn, given the atmosphere in Boston the other day. After 2 games of booze but no incidents, there was an ugly moment as Kyrie walked off the floor after Game 4 and a man in the crowd nearly struck him with a water bottle he threw. That 21-year-old was arrested and charged with assault and battery with a dangerous weapon.
Fans got to grow up at some point. I know that being in the house for a year and a half with the pandemic, got a lot of people on edge, got a lot of people stressed out. But when you come to these games, you got to realize, man, these men are human. You know, we not animals. We not in a circus. You coming to the game is not all about you as a fan. So have some respect for the game. Have some respect for these human beings, and have some respect for yourself. Your mother wouldn't be proud of you throwing water bottles at basketball players or spitting on players or tossing popcorn. So grow the up and enjoy the game.
People just feel very entitled out here. You know, they pay for the tickets. Great. I'm grateful that they're coming in to watch a great performance, but it's just, you know, we're not at the theater. We're not throwing tomatoes and other random stuff at the people that are performing. You know, it's too much. And it's a reflection on, you know, us as a whole when you have fans acting like that.
We know how these people here are in Boston, and we know how passionate they are about Kyrie in particular. And they still upset at him. And that's no reason for them to act childish, but we don't need to speak on that. We know what it is already coming in here. Glad we got the W. Hopefully we don't got to come back here this year.
KD, Kyrie there, and unfortunately that was just one of a handful of incidents of fan aggression towards players this week, and really just stupidity, including someone throwing popcorn at Russell Westbrook in Philadelphia earlier this week. That was on Wednesday. You had a fan spitting at Trae Young in New York this year. Obviously all these folks, when they were caught, were thrown out of those arenas. Some have already been banned. Some are facing legal situations. Last night in D.C., another fan came running out onto the floor during play, which was bizarre as much as anything. And then remember in Utah, there were a small number of fans harassing John Morant's family with inappropriate, even racist commentary during the Grizzlies-Jazz series. All disturbing in one way or another. And I'm curious for you, as someone who's been in these arenas this season with fans finally getting back in there, what would you like to see done about all this?
I think we talked about it earlier, you know, being banned from, you know, all these arenas and, you know, maybe, you know, other sports. I just feel like it's not okay. I feel like, you know, I think people look at athletes and they don't see us as people or as humans. And I feel like, you know, we get, you know, criticized, you know, more than average or whatever. And I feel like these actions aren't okay. I feel like you have to go one step further.
Right. Well, it's one thing to be criticized for your play, right? That sort of comes with the territory.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's another thing to be throwing things at people, to racist commentary. I mean, I don't know what to do about it. That's when I've talked to folks about this. You know, you're talking about a tiny percentage of NBA fans who engage in this sort of stuff. You don't know who they are when they come into the door. You want fans in the building. You want to sell concessions. You want other people to have a good time. Is there any way to get ahead of these things?
Man, I think I'm going to go back to what you said, which is so great. It's a tiny percentage. Most overall, the majority of fans are great. It's that tiny percentage that I would love to throw the book at, because the reason why is it could be harmful, it's unacceptable, and there's just no call for it. Most of the fans are fantastic. And we as athletes, we understand you're going to boo. We all understand you're going to cheer for your team. And we enjoy that.
Yep.
But when it crossed the line, and obviously we've had it over the years, it's been these year bans, 2-year bans. I think it has to be lifetime. It has to be all 30 NBA teams. I hope the NFL, Major League Baseball, hockey, concerts all get together. And you start to be banned from all of these arenas. Mm-hmm. And if that doesn't work, next step, so we can get this to a situation where, you know, the cities of these arenas, and they take bigger action on these small percentage of idiots.
You know, to LA's point about fans maybe sometimes not seeing you as people on the floor, it's also easy to misunderstand what a player might feel like when something is thrown at him, or in the case of the nitwit on the floor last night, coming onto the playing surface. That could be scary. You don't know what that person is up to.
What if someone came here right now and just threw something at you?
Well, that's happened before.
Yeah.
That's the crew does that on a regular basis.
But you don't know. But no, it's not okay. You know, I don't know. It's just, I think, like, you know, like you said, it's like you shouldn't have the confidence to even try this or even do this. So it's like you got to put some rules in play, or, you know, put some things in place where, you know, guys won't even try it.
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully this is the end of it. I don't know. There's been enough folks banned and charged with crimes that maybe others will think twice before they try this sort of thing.
But Matt, is that the reason why they feel like they're getting their 2 minutes of shine? I mean,
I don't
that guy
know. I don't know. You know what?
shine.
Honestly, I made a point of not naming the 21-year-old fan in Boston for exactly that reason. I don't want to make a hero out of Game 6 win at home and a Game 7 victory back in Colorado to earn a spot in the conference finals. They're meeting a round sooner this time as they tip for Game 5 tonight in the Mile High, game you will see right here on NBA TV at 9 Eastern Time. It's a center court postseason situation. Time to hear from some of our virtual fans tonight. They have questions for Smitty and LA, and we're going to start with Tina, who is here representing the Brooklyn Nets. Hello, Tina. What you got for us?
Hi, how are you?
So far, so good. How about you?
Good. We're real good. So, for LaMarcus, glad to hear you're doing well. We're happy to have you. Glad that you're not with us. You'll always be part of the fam.
Thank you.
My son, Talon, he's got a question he wants to ask you.
Hi, Marcus.
How you doing?
My question is, how was your time in Brooklyn playing with the Big Three?
It was fun, man. Those guys are special. They work hard every day. They have fun. They're all so unselfish, and just, it was fun, man. I felt embraced, and, I feel like being with those guys made my job so easy, so I enjoyed it.
There you go, Tina. Are the Nets closing out tonight?
Oh, we're closing out. We're getting ready to pick up in 5, then move on.
There you go.
Oh,
I figured I knew the answer from Tina, but why not? Do we have a Veronica and Kevin in the house?
It's actually Veronica and Paul right now.
Veronica and Paul, what happened to Kevin? What'd you do to Kevin, Veronica?
He's in the other room.
He's in the other room.
Sorry, Paul. I was told Kevin. You guys are Suns fans. What are your questions for us?
Hey, so I had a question. Steve and LA, you guys are both ex-professional basketball players. Have you ever had an injury like Chris Paul's injury? And given his performance in Game 4 of 18 points and 9 assists, do you see that as like a positive rehab thing that he's going to be okay going forward?
I think it's a great question. I've never had an injury of sort like Chris Paul. There are certain injuries you can play with, and obviously having his right arm, he's right-handed shooting, I thought it was tough. But to see him, and obviously after we got a chance to hear that Coach Williams was deciding not to play him, it was remarkable how he came out and played. It was just to watch him will his way and this team to a victory. I think it's definitely a positive. It gives you a chance to say it looks like he's getting healthier. Obviously, won't be 100% throughout these playoffs, but just having Chris Paul on the floor and the way he played is definitely a positive.
I've had shoulder surgery, so I would say it's very tough. Especially when it's your shooting arm. Your shot feels short. You don't feel confident. So I think like you said, the fact that he played well last game, that is good. And then going back to the ex-player, I'm not ready to hear that yet. So let's just say I still play right now.
Okay, that's fair enough. Hey, Veronica, forget Paul for a second. I'm still trying to figure out what happened to Kevin, but for you, I need to know more about this eye makeup. Can you get closer to the camera? That looks like an elaborate design you've got going there.
I like that.
There's a lot. It says Phoenix Suns. I couldn't tell from that far back.
Oh, is that Kevin?
Is that Kevin?
It's Kevin.
Oh, Kevin's alive. Thank goodness.
They tried to hide me for a little while, but I came back.
For a second, I thought Paul had taken out Kevin. I'm glad to see you're all together and well. Good luck tonight against the Lakers in Game 5.
Yep.
Great questions.
All right, next up is Debbie, who's a fan of the Portland Trailblazers. Hello, Debbie.
Hi, how are you?
I think we're well. How are you?
So good, so good. My question is for LaMarcus. Now that you can kind of look at your career in hindsight, what are you most proud of that you did during your time in the NBA?
That's tough. Like I said, I'm not ready to look back at it, but I have to now. I'm here. I don't know. I think I had, so many great memories, so many fun games. But when I look back at how we turned Portland from Jailblazers to, a Rip City. That was kind of special. And I don't want to look to my guy to my right, but I don't know.
He was on that team.
I don't know what side he was on to that, but I think being a part of that group to bring the fans back after a certain guys didn't bring them in the arena, but being on that team, I thought that was pretty special for me.
Hey Debbie, who's your favorite Blazer, past or present?
Brandon
I
Roy.
mean, you have to go with Damian Lillard right now. Although we do love LaMarcus. Don't get me wrong.
So I'm like a little asterisk.
Know your audience. Know your audience, Debbie. That's a good lesson. I know LA doesn't want to look back, but we're already thinking of him as media. He's here, right? He's media.
I'll look back now. Let's do it. Come on, let's do it.
He's not there yet. I remember that. He's not there yet.
It's tough.
Take some time.
I get it. All right.
Take some time.
Thank you, Debbie.
Debbie, good question.
Next up, by process of elimination, I think I've identified Sam from the Denver Nuggets. Sam, how you doing tonight? What do you have for us?
I'm doing great. I will let you know Denver will be bouncing back tonight. As we know from last year, they like to be with their backs against the wall to start playing really good. But my question is, with all the injuries that the Denver Nuggets have had within the guard area, can you rate how the Denver Nuggets rookies guard with Campazzo, Harrison, and Howard have been playing?
I think they play well. The one thing I love about them is great questions. They've been asked to do a lot, as rookies in a situation right now in big-time playoff games. They bring energy. They play with passion. Campazzo seems like he's everywhere on the floor. I mean, he is one of those guys that something's going to happen, and he's making things happen. I love the way they're playing, and I think as rookies, obviously, getting a chance to play on this big stage, they don't look like they don't belong there. They don't look afraid. So great question, Sam. I think they've done a nice job for them, and I think I'm going to ask you a question. If you look at the Denver Nuggets, what's the key? Give me one key for them winning tonight, Sam.
I think the key for them tonight is Jokic naturally, and for MPJ just to get his shots. He needs to be a key part of the game for tonight.
All right, well done, Sam.
And Millsap. We need Millsap in there too.
Yeah.
Sam, I said one.
It named like 7 people.
Sam, honestly, you wouldn't be the first analyst who's done that. I do this for a living, and I often ask for one thing and get back 5.
Absolutely.
All right, appreciate it. Sam, Debbie, Veronica, Paul, Kevin.
Kevin got back in there.
And all our virtual fans.
There we go.
Appreciate you being with us on a center court playoff night.
Let's go.
More scoring a combined 25 points on 30% shooting. All 5 recorded plus-minus ratings of -17 or worse. And Michael Malone says he was not wrong to suggest afterwards that his guys just didn't play hard enough.
When you tell somebody they're not playing hard enough, they're not playing physical enough, or we played soft tonight, a lot of times they look at you like you're crazy. That's not the case at all. I'm just stating the facts. And when we watch the film, I think we'll jump off the screen when we show them that we weren't ready to play, when we show them that we weren't physical enough, when we show them that they outworked us. And, so you hope after they see the film, they're embarrassed by the effort, and we come to Game 5 with the requisite effort that is needed to compete in a playoff game against a very good team.
They were definitely the aggressors. We didn't play with enough, urgency. As a whole team, we just played soft. Like, we let them get into us and take us out of our stuff. And then it just comes down to execution as well. We didn't execute.
We got to sustain that level of energy and that level of focus. Because when you win a game, it's easy to to talk about it. Like, all right, we got to do it again. And going out there and doing it is completely separate from talking about it, especially when the other team is coming off a loss and they trying to answer the call. With this being the biggest game of the series, the team that loses the next game is going to be facing elimination. We got to, go out there with that understanding and try to sustain what we built over the last, game and a half.
It is fascinating, Michael Malone's exasperation with his team. And we've seen this from him before with this Denver Nuggets group. What do you make of it when a coach publicly calls out his guys for not playing hard enough in a postseason series?
Just like a challenge, like he knows how good they can be. And I think, he's frustrated that they're having games like that. So it's just about, trying to get them to, just play better and just, try to go compete.
That having been said, it's Game 5. Series is still tied. They still have home court advantage. Denver, at least on paper, right?
Yeah, I think so, Matt. I think, we've all been around the game a long time. I think when you get to the playoffs with an experienced team, I want to hear a coach say we didn't rebound. We didn't play the pick and roll. But when I start hearing a coach for a veteran team say we didn't play hard, we wasn't physical enough, I started to worry a little bit, man. There's some parts of the game you just don't execute. We did not get on our free throws. We fouled too much. But a veteran team that's been around, as a player, I don't want to hear we didn't play hard enough as a group. Now, and we weren't physical. They outworked us. Not in playoff games. That's the one thing you start to look at the leadership of the players and who is the leader as far as verbally, I would think, for that team. I know Jokic is the best player.
Right.
I think that's the question I'm looking at right now. Who's going to take this and send that message to the players for them? I don't know. We shall see tonight how they come out and play. A little worried about Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter. That last game, I think they combined for like 8 points, 11 points on 8 attempts. Those two have to get going. I'm not just talking about offensively. I think those two have to do a little bit of the dirty work. That's the one thing I'm looking for the Denver Nuggets. Who's the one guy who's going to get the loose balls, the 50-50 balls? Who's going to take the charges? Who's going to be just the guy doing things that won't show up in the box score?
Yeah. And some of that you would think would fall to Aaron Gordon because of the way he plays and what they ask him to do on this team. Michael Porter Jr., it may be a lot to ask, but he's got to be their second best scorer. And as you saw in the graphic, he's been less and less productive and effective as the series has gone on. If you're Michael Malone or another team leader, what are you saying to him ahead of Game 5 to get him going?
I'm looking at him as he's very talented, but when your jumper's not going, how else can you help this team offensively? And then, okay, forget offensively, how else can you impact winning? Another part of the game, and I think for him is, defensively he struggles. We all know that, but can you rebound? Can you block shots? And I think also for him is, can you be verbally and be engaged with your teammates? Because a lot of times, I know he's a quiet guy, but it looks like he's looking at Matt like I'm looking at you right now. I can't read his emotions, and I would love just to have him affect the game in a different way.
Yeah, stoic. We know he can shoot, but again, if that's not working,
but sometimes when
you
start rebounding and stuff, that gets you going. Like that gets your shot going. Like you think less and you just go play.
Yeah, and LaMarcus, I would ask, if you're, the Joker, because that was kind of your role, the guy with the ball down on the block, how much are you trying to talk to him when you're getting double? Where would you want him, at? What's the conversation with your 4 and 5, playing off of each other?
I'm trying to tell him to, keep shooting. I got to stay confident for one. And then I'm trying to tell him where I see them doubling me at and like what spot to go to. I want to try to put him in the best position where I can pass it to him and he can score. So I'm just trying to tell him, stay confident and then, just find your spots.
Now, you've been a vet. I know, man, I want to ask him. So, I'm Michael Porter. I've took 4 bad shots. Now, tell me where you're going now, LaMarcus, as a teammate, because that's when I think communication met during adverse times and heated times. That's when you're a good chemistry, good teammate where I can talk to you.
Exactly.
And saying, hey, we don't need that shot right now.
And the NBA's changed because bad shots are considered good shots if you're, really good at it, Steph and, Dame. But
wait, say that again? I'm trying, I've been going out of the game a long time now.
Yeah.
Bad shots are considered good shots.
It's not really bad anymore because those guys are, they're so good at it. So, what was, thought of as a bad shot back in the day, it's not a bad shot now. So I pulled them to the side and I was like, hey, when they're making a run, let's get something good, go to the rim, get fouled, or come to me, but don't shoot that one.
Man, I think I could have played in this era.
Yeah.
Bad shot is a good shot.
For some people,
if you're good at it,
if
you're good at it.
It is tricky, too, because the good shots have changed. And for Michael Porter Jr. in the analytics age, they want him at 6'10", taking three-pointers because he's really good at it. But there are going to be nights when he's not, and then you've got to make some sort of adjustment. I want to get into the 2 big men, the former teammates. Yusuf Nurkic fouled out of the 2 losses, been hugely impactful in the 2 wins for Portland, and basically played his old teammate Nikola Jokic to a draw in Game 4. What's the adjustment for Jokic tonight, specifically with regard to this matchup?
Keep doing what he, just play his game. He has a great coach that's going to get him plays. I guarded him, and he's going to get him plays and get him shots, and he just got to put pressure on him and make him guard him, and just make all of his shots tough. But it's nothing. He's going to come out and he's going to put pressure on him, and I think that's going to slow him down.
See if he can stay in the game tonight. By the way, I'm selling Nurkic short because statistically maybe played him to a draw. Do you see the plus minus?
I was like, say 32 minus
Joker
32?
was minus 32. Nurkic was.
We've got Scal and Tom Giles standing by. But, Chris, if the Celtics are going to have any chance in this game here tonight down in Brooklyn, it rests all on the shoulders of Jason Tatum.
No Kemba, no Rob, no Jalen. It's on Jason. And look, he's been great the last 2 games. The only Celtic in history to go for 40-plus in consecutive playoff games. Think about that with all the scores they've had here. So Jason's got to get to the line. He's got to be great. I think he's going to try to will this thing back to Boston.
Jason in a pretty unique situation when it comes to the Celtics, that he is the only guy. He has to be that guy. On the other side, Kyrie Irving has 2 other future Hall of Fame teammates to go alongside him. Kyrie causing controversy following Game 4, stomping on the logo. We're going to talk about that, but Chris, one thing is clear. Kyrie does not want to come back.
Yes, you stole my line, Abby. I said if he doesn't want to go back to Boston, he better go out there and show it tonight and hide all the Celtics logos. But Kyrie was great in that game. Masked in all the chaos afterward is that he went for 39 and 11. And if he plays like that, and if their big 3 plays like that, Celtics got a lot of work to keep pace.
This is a closeout game. Those are notoriously hard to do in the NBA, and you just hope, I'm wearing my Celtics green, you just hope the Celtics put up some fight here tonight. We're going to be with you over the next hour, bringing you all the information you need to know. Scal's got your keys to the Celtics getting a win here in Game 5. We'll hear from Brad Stevens. Game 4, it's brought to you by Arbella Insurance. Here for Banner 18, here for good. Those 3 combined for 104 points. That is tied for the most by any trio in NBA playoff history. Tied with a Celtics team, by the way. But the numbers we want to focus on are at the bottom. Those free throws. These 3 getting to the line. I mean, we know James Harden has made it a career of getting to the free throw line. But those guys combined, I mean, missed 1 free throw between them. Back here with Chris, and we're joined now by Scal. Scal, how do the Celtics, I mean, I know this is a tough one, and there are adjustments to be made, those small ones. So how do the Celtics defend without fouling?
Well, defend without fouling, there's techniques that you work on all year long. I thought you were going to ask me, how do the Celtics win this game? And the way you win this game is you get your let's call it, you have a defensive lineup and an offensive lineup. And when we play our offensive lineup, they just get picked apart by these guys. They go isolation, and it's not step back threes that they're giving up. They're giving up layups. These 3 guys are targeting Evan Fournier. They're targeting Tristan Thompson on the perimeter. And there's nothing you could do about that. Steve Nash, who I thought they were going to go with DeAndre Jordan, they went the opposite way. They went super small and just spread the floor. So how do you stop them? You have guys like Romeo Langford and Aaron Nesmith, Peyton Pritchard, and you pray that those guys can make shots. That's how you would beat the Nets. That's how you would have any chance of beating the Nets. Because if you play your offensive lineup, even though it takes pressure off of Jason Tatum, it's like too much to overcome on the defensive end.
I don't have an answer for you on the free throw thing, Abby, because they're going to get there. Like, I don't know how you tell Romeo Langford and Aaron Nesmith to not, as young players, not to get called for those fouls, because it's just instinctive. You want to put your hand in there, and Harden and Durant are so good at drawing that. Harden's drawing fouls on something like 25.4% of all shot attempts this postseason, and that's just an insane number. So I think, just as Scal said, you've got to find a way to trade baskets with them, tread water, and hope and pray that your defense finds like 3 minutes, 5 minutes late in the game where you can dig in and make it difficult. But haven't seen it very often this season, and it's hard. When you look at the offensive rating the other night, they had like 143 offensive rating against the Celtics. Good luck trying to stop that.
I mean, but you have to try, right? I mean, that's what Brad Stevens said pregame. We have to be great in everything that we do, and there are small, little adjustments that we can make. What are some of those?
I would play Peyton Pritchard, who I think he does a great job defending. I think Aaron Nesmith does a decent job defending. Romeo Langford, and you just, like I said, you just hope those guys make shots. There's nothing more you can do. Evan Fournier, for him to counter what he's given up, I think he has to get us 30, 35 points. And maybe he can do it. Offensively, he's gifted enough to do that, but if you're watching this game and Evan Fournier's on the floor, they just target him and they just go one-on-one. And like I said, if you give up the pull-up jump shot, fine. But these guys are turning the corner and getting to the basket. So, and then if you load up with the guy at the rim, when they do, they're just moving the ball for a wide open shot. So to me, I think you go with your defensive lineup and you try to make this a slugfest without fouling, of course.
Of course. That's no easy feat. So that's defensively. Offensively, though, Scal, I mean, the Celtics, when they've had success, they've moved the ball. In the one win this season, or in this series, they had 31 assists, 19 in game one.
And part of that was making shots, no question about it. Right. But the key is going to be those corner threes. So it's Jason Tatum driving and finding guys in the corner. So Romeo Langford, Aaron Nesmith, Peyton Pritchard, you got to make those shots because that's what the Nets are giving up. They're dropping that defender all the way to the basket. So when you drive, you're going to meet someone at the rim, and that guy, you're just going to have to trust that those guys are going to make shots. And I think, Aaron Nesmith has shown that he's capable of doing it, and same with Peyton Pritchard. They just have to understand that they might get 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 three-point attempts if they continue to hold that, and Jason Tatum continues to move the ball and make plays.
And I need Tatum to touch the ball a ton tonight. I looked at the numbers, like 68.5 touches per game. It's only 23rd among players in the postseason. It surprised me because you see guys like, Jokic and LeBron, they touch the ball 80, 90 times a game. He doesn't necessarily have to take shots. He doesn't have to force anything. As Scal said, find those guys in the corners. But I just need everything to go through him, and he has to remain engaged for the entire game, where, he can't ease into this one. They need Tatum to be great in this one to have any chance of hanging with this team.
It is a long shot, Scal, but what does the mindset need to be for the Celtics in this game to stave off elimination?
Yeah, it's basically got to go out there with the gunslinger mentality. If you're going to play with these guys who have proven that they're elite offensively, you got to let that ball fly. There is no more turning down looks when you get a chance to. If Jason Tatum is open, get him the ball. Tatum, I agree with Chris, 90 touches. But part of that 90 touches is he has to give the ball up and then get it back later. And you're going to have to play fast. When the Nets lose throughout this season, and I know these three guys haven't played that many minutes together, but when they lose, it's teams that really do move the ball well.
And a little toughness. Get into them, make them uncomfortable. Feels like they get to the line and they get to see the ball go in the basket, and it becomes easy. I'm not saying you got to go out there and clothesline anybody, knock anybody down, but just don't let them get comfortable out there. Don't let them live at the line. Make it difficult for them.
For the record, I'm not against that. I want to see some physical
Abby's
play
promoting violence.
out of these Boston Celtics. At this point in time, that's where I am right now. As we look at the Domino's Tracker countdown clock, and that is Evan Fournier. We are just under 49 minutes to tip off in Game 5. Scal said the Celtics are going to need 35 from Evan Fournier. We haven't seen it yet in this series, but we know he's got poise. He is capable of doing that. Celtics got to get him open. That is one of the things Brad Stevens said as well pregame, is we got to find ways to get Evan Fournier in a comfortable position. But he's not alone. It is 5 guys out there, and the Celtics are going to need just a little bit more. As Scal likes to say, talking in the percentages, they're going to need just a little bit more from everyone, including Evan Fournier. I continue. Scal's laughing at me. We are trying to get you over to...
How far are we away, Abby?
Tom Giles.
48.
Scal, would you like to add anything about percentages?
Hey!
There we go. All right.
Take it away.
You know what? It's just a little thing here. We got the pick and roll game going on. It's presented by PointsBet Sportsbook. Tom Giles, Scal. And that's right, we're back. Got a few Celtics questions tonight. It's a chance to win $50,000. It's absolutely free to play. And there's also cash prizes, too, if you don't get all 8 questions correct. And it's easy, right?
It's super easy. I play it almost every day.
Okay. And you can. There's certain games out there. You can do golf, all kinds of cool stuff.
I don't do that.
Well, we might get you into it, all right? But let's get into this one tonight. You got the pick and roll of the Jackpot's 50K. Going to go ahead and load it up right there. Behind you, you'll see first question's in. Most points by a player you got 6 guys listed tonight from a few different games. Jason Tatum is on that list. You also have Kevin Durant on that list. But is there one name that sticks out to you?
Yeah, I'm going to choose Jason Tatum in this one because of all the teams and of all the players out there, the Celtics have to have a huge scoring night from him to even compete. Not to win, just to compete. So Tatum should go for upwards of 35, close to 40. And I kind of feel like he's on the mission. Even if the Celtics lose this series, I think Jason Tatum is like, I'm going to go out with everything I have, and I'm going to try to have as many points as I possibly can. Not in a selfish way, in a way that he has to do it. So I'm going with Tatum.
All right, so we got Jason Tatum selected on that one. Next one's up. This is total points just for the Celtics against the Nets tonight. You'll see less than 100, 101 to 108, 109 to 111, which is right around where some of the books are predicting the Celtics to be. Where you have them?
Yeah, and they're like a 112, 116. I think the Celtics will score right around there. I do think they're going to have to defend a whole lot better than they did the other day. And I wasn't down on the way they defended. I just thought there's too many fouls. And if you can go back and you can make that adjustment, pull your hands back and, and hope for the best. But I think right around 112, 116.
All right, so we'll throw that in there. And so with the Celtics scoring 112 to 116, I'm going to move ahead now to the 7th question. Of course, there's other games going on. And by the way, this doesn't close until 9 p.m., which means, Scal, that
wait.
People that are playing at home can edit their picks at halftime. Just saying, you can do that. All right, close at 9 p.m. Celtics, Nets, pick a winner.
I'm picking the Nets. I can sit here and tell you why, but I'm not. I'm just going to say the Nets.
So you got the Nets. How much you got the Nets winning by in this one?
So this is an interesting one because right now that line is right around that 12.5 points. And I do think it's going to be around there. I don't feel like the Celtics get blown out. I feel like Celtic pride. I feel like the stomping on the logo has something to do with it. Got a couple guys riled up. So we'll see. But I think it's right around that 12 mark is where I will pick. So 10 to 12 is what I'll go with.
All right, so we got 10 to 12. And again, you got 8 questions. Go ahead. Play yourselves at home. You get a chance for $50,000. It's free to play.
Celtics down 3-1 in their series against the Nets, but so you're saying there's a chance. These numbers brought to you by TD Bank. That is my favorite scene from the Dumb and Dumber movie. And it makes me feel good in moments like this. These are the last 4 teams to overcome a 3-1 series deficit. The Nuggets did it twice in the bubble last year. And then the Cavs, of course, beat the Warriors in the finals. 2 Celtics teams have done it, by the way, 81 and 1968, as we're back here with Scal and Chris now. You're saying there's a chance.
That seems, didn't she say 1 in a billion?
Yeah.
Like, is it like 1 in a...
It's like such a teeny tiny...
1 in a billion.
That's what makes it so funny.
Gotcha.
So you're saying there's a chance. Take whatever you can get. So yeah, tell me, what...
Different than what I've already said? Yeah. Defend without fouling. Go out there with that gunslinger mentality where you just, if you got an open shot, you let it fly. You attack them, you move the ball. And then hopefully at that point, like I thought the game, in game 3, all you heard was physical talk. Oh, you got to play physical. We got to play physical. They brought in 3 referees and they called all kinds of fouls and all that physical talk went right out the door. Yeah. So if you're going to play the foul game with the Nets, you lose. So you've got to figure out a way to defend without fouling, rotate, be spot on with your rotations, and then you've got to shoot the lights out. And I'm telling you, guys like Peyton Pritchard, Aaron Nesmith, because they can defend at this level. They've been doing it all season long. They have the skills. Some of them, like guys like Nesmith, got to worry about pulling his hands back. They have the skills to do it athletically. They have the length to do it. Well, Peyton Pritchard's just tough as nails, but those guys have to make shots and have to make plays. And if they do that, then you have a chance.
I hadn't thought about that. The Celtics finally get 17,000 people in the building, and the refs call everything.
No, it's terrible.
Come on, like NBA, be better. Like you should know. You
be better.
Want that excitement. Look,
say that a lot.
Looking over that list of teams that have come back from 3-1, I wondered if any of them had been missing 3 starters going into any of those games. So look, it's tough for the Celtics right now. I don't know if there's a roadmap to getting back in this series. What can they do? There's no expectations. There's really no pressure. Go out there and play loose. Maybe ramp up the physicality and just go out like with the idea that let's see what happens. Like I think it's part of what hindered them this year was that constant burden. Like, okay, we're not playing up to expectations. Why can't we get around that corner? So, like, I don't know. I'm eager to see what this team looks like loose. It hasn't mattered necessarily earlier in the series, but with nothing left to prove, let's see what they got.
And Scal, to be clear, I mean, all of us here were hesitant, but inside that locker room, the Celtics believe they've got a chance.
I'm not sure.
You don't think so?
I don't know.
Speaking from a player, you always talk about the irrational confidence that you have as an NBA player, and you believe that you are the best guy stepping out on that floor.
Sure, but I don't know what it is about this year's team. I haven't seen irrational confidence throughout this year's team. So so far, what we've seen, Jason Tatum is playing at a high level. Marcus Smart is playing at a high level. Now, the key is to get the rest of the guys, and it's not necessarily offensively. You can't just get beat off the dribble for layup. If you give up layups over and over again, then your irrational confidence just goes right out the window. You have to, if they're making tough shots, you could say in your mind, okay, they're not going to do this for 48 minutes. But James Harden is going to make layups for 48 minutes. So you have to figure out a way to get them into doing something that you want them to do. If they're dictating it, if they're playing and getting whatever they want,